Good morning, gardening friends. Today is Saturday, June 17th, and Miss Mimi and I are taking a walk outside just to assess what the yard looks like after last night's storms. We're in the middle, 2 days of storms so far, and 2 more days to go. They came through about 1 o'clock last night and had dime-size hail that pretty much covered, I'd say, about a good third of my deck back here. It was a little scary. Fortunately, I don't have the big trees around me anymore, so I don't really hear the winds all that much, but I imagine it was windy. Let's see how much rain we got. Let's see. It looks like 3.5 inches. This is over 2 days. I think we got most of that last night. We had about 1 inch of rain prior to that. It looks like the hail damaged my lily of the Nile a little bit, but it'll snap back. It's been an odd week of just all kinds of little details and odds and ends that got accomplished. Not a lot of gardening, but that's the one good thing about having an established garden, because whether you do anything to it or you just leave it be, it changes from day to day, week to week. I've decided to leave this colocasia in the pot. I'm going to put some mulch on top because the water beats off the roof. I don't have gutters and throws the dirt all over, but I do kind of like the look of the runners that one is sending out, so I'm just going to let them grow across my deck, making sure, of course, they don't touch ground anywhere. But it has kind of a neat look about it. I did fertilize all of my angel's trumpets this week. That looks like a little worse for wear, with the top of this one is bent a little, but not broken, so it'll come back. I did do a quick walk around the backyard and noticed I didn't really see any major damage. The citrus seemed to be the worst for wear. Here you can see my plumeria. Blossoms were untouched. I cut back my roses so that I could see my little water feature in there, although I don't have it turned on right now. Actually, let me go ahead and turn it on. Pardon me for a minute. I discovered while putting Christmas lights up one time about the beauty of having remote-controlled electrical devices. So I have a push button in my kitchen that hangs off the wall. It's a key fob that starts my fountains. I fertilized this angel's trumpet as well, and I fertilized it about 2 days ago when I bought a new angel's trumpet, which I'll show you a little later. But you can see the top leaves are already greener than the bottom leaves. My little daturas are doing well. There's Miss Mimi. Oscar has come and gone. You don't see a lot of Miss Mimi in my videos because I tend to do them early. And early in the morning is when Oscar comes to be fed. And she and Oscar have different times when they come out into the backyard. Otherwise, they fight like cats and cats. Looks like my sedum got beat down a little. Yeah, the citrus will recover, but here you can see it really knocked them down. But I imagine having dime-sized bits of ice fall on you might knock you down as well. We've got 2 more days of this. Apparently bad storms are going to come through again today, this during the day, which scares me a little more than at night. At night, even though we had the hail and everything, it wasn't necessarily fueled by the heat of the day. That's when they can be really bad. Here you can see this got beat up pretty badly, but I don't see any broken leaves, so it'll all come back. I don't put dirt inside these troughs because I don't like them to rot the wood against whatever they're placed against. But I do have inside of there dead Spanish moss. The rain just beat it down. These sweet potato, not sweet potato, these are sweet potato vines. These are just regular old potato vines, a pass-along plant in the south. They look absolutely gorgeous. The leaves get larger and larger, and so far, the beetles have kept away from them. I didn't grow them for 2 years, and so maybe the infestation that I had has gone away. Keep my fingers crossed. I did see a hummingbird drinking from my bird feeder. Oh, there's a bee drinking from my bird feeder right now. Oh, speaking of birds, I was finally able to identify that unknown gray bird that I've been talking about that tends to like to be in my backyard and likes the bird baths, always bathing, and eats some of the bird seed in the bird feeder. But I have a family of cardinals right now that are taking over my backyard. They don't mind Miss Mimi, but they chase Oscar and Baby away. But back to the story. It turns out it's a catbird, a gray catbird. That was one of those rabbit holes I went down this week. It's funny how sometimes they turn up interesting things. But of all things, I was on eBay, and I have a lot of pictures of birds in my living room, and I thought, let me look for some bird plates. And so I was looking on eBay for bird plates, and lo and behold, one of the plates that I saw had a picture of a catbird on it. And I thought, wow, that looks just like the bird in my backyard. So I looked it up, and sure enough, I did buy a book on birds of Alabama, but it is a little misleading in the catbird area because of the photo. The photo apparently has too much toner in it, and it makes it look more black than gray. But definitely, these are catbirds because they are a charcoal gray color, and they have a little greenish cast to their head. So at least that was identified this week. So thank you, eBay, for helping me identify my birds. I don't really see any damage here. Everything looks pretty good. My bananas, the leaves, I don't know if you can see, they break apart in winds or hail. Oh, the new one doesn't look all that good, but it'll snap back. It's bent way over. It should be straight up in the air. But I imagine they catch the wind like a sail. And it gives them character when they split apart. They look like a split-leaf philodendron. The catbirds like to go in my little camellia archway. So you can be sitting on the deck and they'll land on the table, look at you, and then if you move or startle them, they flit into the camellia archway. I did work a little on this back fence last week. I got half of the vines cleaned off of the top. Here you can see the other half still remaining. And we'll get to it this week. Right now it's kind of cool out here, so it's a nice time to be out. my butterfly ginger. Looks like it's fixing to bloom. Oh no, that's not a butterfly ginger. That's my Crocosmia. This needs a prune up a little bit. And here you can see where the loquat was. It's looking better and better. Let me try and get out of the sun so I can give you a better picture of it. You can see the ponytail palm really wasn't hurt by the hail last night. It's got a couple of bent leaves. They can be nasty. They have sharp edges to those leaves, kind of like pampas grass. I used to have pampas grass back here in a spot, but every time I would mow the lawn, I would rub against it with my shins and it would wind up slicing into me, which was not a good thing. That can do the same. So it's kind of something to be admired from a distance. And here's the other angel's trumpet. This is a yellow angel's trumpet that I bought this week. It did not have holes in the leaves. You can see this top one definitely got hit. I can't get any farther in, it's too mushy. But that's okay, the leaves will come back. It really was doing well there. The leaves greened up nicely. That was because I planted that. I fertilized to give it a good chance of living there. And while I had the fertilizer out, I fertilized all of my angel's trumpets. I was debating whether to put the angel's trumpet there or to plant a palm tree. I used to have a Mediterranean fan palm. Wasn't quite as tall as that, but it was about that tall, about half that size, years ago. But when I had an oak tree removed, they damaged it and it was basically taken to the ground, from which a clump appeared. It's one of the few palms that if you damage one tip, others will grow. But it was doing pitifully for the last few years underneath the shade of that loquat, and so we grubbed it out. We didn't actually dig it out, but we cut it off below the surface. And so I was hemming and hawing whether to get a palm or to plant the datura, not datura, the angel's trumpet. And while digging the hole, I did see that the palm had resprouted and was growing back from the roots that had been, they were still good. It was just cut back to about an inch or two under the surface. So I may have both. This is basically an annual. Frost is going to knock it back, but I'll leave the palm and see what it does. And I noticed here, I may or may not leave it, but for now I'm going to, where the loquat was, nature has provided a pecan. So I've got a 2-foot tall pecan tree growing there. I don't necessarily want a tall pecan. However, again, I'll let it grow for a while. You can always cut it down. Mosquitoes are out this morning, but they're not eating me up terribly just yet. Everything looks very lush and green. I'll have to trim back these Nandinas one more time yet because they're sending up a little bit too much. They will get to be 6 foot tall if you let them. However, you can maintain them at any height you wish. Oh, I see the rain knocked some of the fruits of my jelly palm, pindo palm, or there's another name for it, I'll think of it later. But here, they haven't ripened yet. But there you can see the fruit stalk. And thank God squirrels have discovered them because they like to sit there and eat them. They eat them like nuts. They're not quite ripe yet. They're not ripe at all yet, but the squirrels seem to like them. My little fountain looks clean today. It doesn't look like I sustained, or the yard sustained, any real damage from the storm, which is good. We've got 2 more days to go. This I haven't shown you recently. My pitcher plant, Nepenthes. This was last year's pitchers, and this year's pitchers are hanging way down. They weigh it down so much now that it doesn't swing in the breeze anymore. And I've got 2 more clusters starting to come down from the top. If you go back in my videos, you'll see when I planted this Nepenthes last year, it was only about that tall, and it was in the middle. It was lost in that pot. So if it likes where it's at, it will grow nicely. And this poor pitcher plant got beat by the hail yesterday, but it'll come back. It doesn't look like it damaged anything. It just, when these pitchers fill up with water, they fall over. Sarracenia. Oh, 2 hummingbirds. I don't know if I caught them, but they were coming to drink from my feeder. My neighbor Sarah has, I think, 2 bird feeders in her backyard. Oh, there he's coming back. Hopefully you saw that or are seeing that. Ooh, they're really letting us see them today. That's what they usually do when their bird feeder gets empty, is I'll be sitting on my deck and one of them will just fly right up to me and just buzz in my face, like telling me, feed me, fill up the feeder. Oh, he's really posing today. Oh, he's getting bashful. But that's about all the news for today. So far, so good. 2 more days of storms to follow. There's Miss Mimi. She's had enough of the mosquitoes and the heat. You ready to go in, Miss Mimi? Have a good day. Take care for now.